So when we say,
Mhm.
"What's your trade show booth's job?"
Mhm.
People go, "Well, it's your booth. You know, you're supposed to just have a booth." Well, if you really drill down into that and go, "Well, is your booth's job to stop the people? And that's not the staffer's job, but you're relying on your booth to do it? Is your booth's job gonna, you know, introduce a new product and you've got it almost like a little mini showroom or feature product area where you've got that is that its job? I is it gonna
Mhm.
educate the public about something and you've got interactive stations to go through 3 of your service offering? Whatever it is, we can be more specific about what the boost's job is, and I thought it's worth us spending a few minutes today just talking about that, because I tell you, man, over the decades I've been in this business, people love to dive into the fun, sexy part of the trade show game, which is designing the booth. But
Yeah.
if you're not sure the shows you're going to yet, if you don't have clear goals, what you want to accomplish in front of that audience, what do you design? How do you design to accomplish and get the results you want if you sort of just skip right away to step 3 or 4? So this is great that we're
And
talking
I
about this.
think I think a reason people skip to that step 3 or 4 is kind of like a monkey see, monkey do
Yeah,
situation where they see what everyone else is doing, and so like, "Okay, I'll do that too," without being intentional about, "Wait, who are we and what are we trying to accomplish? So let's be intentional about that,"
yeah.
rather than just doing what the other competitor's doing or whatever. It's an easy way to just spend a lot of money for nothing, in my opinion. So how do you start? What should you know? What's your approach to defining your trade show booth's job?
Step 1 is, you selecting the right show and you go, "Who's the audience we're gonna be in front of? Are we going" and it's gonna be purchasing agents we're talking to? Is this because there's a certain thing we're gonna talk about with them, maybe talking about pricing, maybe talking about some of the features of our machinery or whatever our product is. Is it engineers that are gonna be there? Is it owners and C-level executives? They're more interested in talking about the solution and the results they can get from using your product or service, right? So it really comes down to who's the audience that's gonna be there, and our message has to then be crafted around that. And when I think about the message, you go, "Well, I'm gonna be in 400 square feet. It's a 20 by 20 space. So I'm gonna need a private meeting room area. I'm gonna need a couple of open conversation discussion tables. I'm gonna need a reception station, a place where people can come up and sort of check in and we can sort of pre-qualify and either send them on down the road, we're not the folks you need, or bring over somebody that I can engage them with who will then take them around our 3 little kiosks that, have, individual, presentation information for. So, point is,
Mm,
who's the audience? I wanna know who that is. And what is our message gonna be to them? How are we gonna communicate that? If you're in a small 10 by 10 space and you don't have a separate station for all 3 example of your offerings, the burden's really on the staffer to be dynamic and be able to tell that story without a lot of those visual aids. My opinion, Khalil, I think if you're bringing your corporate 27-minute sizzle reel, um, you're not gonna be able to use that as a presentation tool. That might be something you have playing in the background. If it's a lot of hard, fast cutaways, maybe some high energy music, that might help keep an interested or not interested, but a curious person, uh, waiting for 30 or 60 seconds. But you're not gonna keep them there for 10 minutes while you finish up a one-on-one meeting. So, um,
yeah. So what are some of the more successful things that you see people doing at shows to get the messaging right every time with their target audience?
um, So, 1 is understanding who your target audience is. 2,
Right.
select and prepare your staff accordingly. So you've got your message, but, have you thought we're gonna need at least 1 technical person in the booth, and we're gonna need 2 people that are really good at engaging and getting people stopped and talking. And then there needs to be a
Yeah.
transition to hand off. There's gonna be, somebody who's also staffing the sort of the greeting station, the reception station. They can be a buffer and a filler, maybe, you don't hand a questionnaire, to an attendee. You might wanna be the person that uses that as the discussion prompter, and as you're holding it and sort of you're not really you're reading off it, but you're really saying, "Glad you have a few minutes. Khalil's gonna be ready in a second, and he's the one I really want you to talk to. But can I ask you a little bit more about the investment you guys are looking to make? What specifically did you come to this show looking for? Okay, so you need a software like ours. Okay, very good. Are you familiar with us? Have you had any experience? Whatever. You're buying a little bit of time until that expert that can step in there. So I think preparing the staff, one, you've got your message clear. Two, everybody's going to know what their job is in the booth. And the booth's job is to complement what that strategy is. There's a meeting room over there. That's for when we get to stage 4 of the engage, qualify, present, and we're ready to ask
Right.
them to close on some kind of a commitment. If it's
Yeah.
educating them, then we're gonna go to our we know how to do that, and we've had our dress rehearsal. By the way, I'm a big fan, Khalil. I can't say enough about preparing that staff to behave in this very unique and different environment. Um,
How do you do that? How do you prepare them?
so, somebody needs to be assigned. We used to call him the booth mom. But there's gotta be a booth captain, somebody whose job is your job is to say, "Okay, guys, we've gonna have 4,500 people walking through the show today. We're not gonna have time to talk to all of them. Don't have the conversation in your life with just anybody that stops. Let's have a couple of qualifying questions that very quickly will tell us to either release. So we've engaged, let's disengage, right? Hi, are you the person responsible for software investments about, blah blah blah? Oh no, I'm here, because I'm the girlfriend of so and so. Okay, great. Well, enjoy the show. There's a lot of great free stuff, right? You're gonna get through 19 no thank yous before you find a, "Yes, please, let's have a deeper conversation." But I think you've gotta have a couple of qualifying questions to and then just don't keep talking. Don't be afraid to disengage. You're gonna have to get through the majority of no's to get 100 qualified conversations going that day as a team, right? So,
Yeah.
super disappointed. We've been at shows and somebody goes, "Well, we ended up with about 17, you know, decent conversations today." There were 4,500 people at the show. How did we only have 17? We need a better strategy. So there's gotta be a strategy. You 2 are on the edge of the aisle. You guys are getting people stopped and talking. You're the one, you 2 over here, you guys are doing product demonstrations. The rest of you,
Mhm.
if you're not on duty, if you're not on the 9 o'clock to noon shift, don't be in the booth. Don't hang around. Don't sit here. Don't be comfortable. Go walk the show. Go prospect another way. Go catch one of the breakout sessions or seminars. If you're on duty at 12:01, plan on being here 15 minutes early. We can give you a little handoff about what the traffic's been like, what people are interested in, blah, blah, blah. But there's gotta be a conversation like that happening. And always that booth captain has to remember, you have a wrap-up meeting for 15 or 20 minutes at the end of the day. So this is when everything is fresh in everybody's mind, right? So I wanna know,
Mhm.
"Oh, did you talk to the guy from Wisconsin? They're gonna be buying 32 machines for their plant in the next 6 months." Or whatever that is. Let's make special notes about that. Is there a chance we can get him back in here again? I mean, this is the way it works. It's not so many people still, particularly newer ones, they're not given any direction. And they show up in the booth and they stand there very often broadcasting how uncomfortable they look and feel because they weren't given any clear direction by their team about either messaging or what the goals were. So you gotta
Mhm.
Again, it's not enough to stimulate the information. How are we capturing that? What's our plan to communicate that back to the follow-up team? So every night when I was that booth captain on occasion, I was back in my hotel room uploading all that information to the team who was already putting follow-up packets together back at the office. So, those are going out literally, if the show's Monday through Thursday, those are hitting the mail on Friday. So, there
Yeah.
really has to be, much more of a than just sort of winging it and freestyling it. If you have visuals in the booth, AV presentations, product. By the way, if you have a product or something kind of widgety, make sure you know how it works. I mean, have you ever walked into a show, it could even be a local home show, and somebody's trying to show you how something works, and they're struggling with it, right? And you go, man, you can't figure it out, and you work here. So what are we doing? So you really have to realize you are on duty. That's why I always use phrases like dress rehearsal. You wouldn't want to go to the theater and expect to enjoy the show if the actors didn't go through the blocking and the traffic flow and their lines. And obviously they have to say it in a very believable way as well. So very, very similar to that.